In a courtroom where justice is supposed to be blind, one judge thought he was untouchable. He smirked, rolling his eyes as he mocked a young black defendant, making sarcastic remarks that had the whole room uneasy. But what he didn't realize was that the defendant's lawyer wasn't just any attorney. He was someone who knew exactly how to turn the tables. With a calm but sharp approach, the lawyer saw through the judge's arrogance and decided to take action in a way no one expected. As the case unfolded, the judge's behavior became more reckless, unaware that every word, every smirk, and every biased ruling was being documented. What started as a routine case quickly turned into a moment that would shake up his entire career. And by the time the truth came out, it was too late. Stay tuned, because what happened next left the entire courtroom speechless. The young defendant, Marcus, had been arrested on charges that many believed were unfair. It was a case that felt like a routine transaction in the justice system, until Judge Thompson decided to mock Marcus in open court. The judge, an older white man with a history of questionable rulings, seemed to take pleasure in his power over the defendant. He belittled Marcus, questioning his background and making assumptions based on his race. But Marcus wasn't just any defendant. His lawyer, Alicia, was known for her quiet strength and relentless pursuit of justice. She had seen firsthand the impact of systemic bias, and she had no intention of letting it slide today. As the trial dragged on, Alicia grew more determined, noticing every slight and misstep from the judge. What she had planned in silence would soon unravel the very fabric of the courtroom, and with it, the judge's career. But could she pull it off before it was too late? As the trial continued, tensions in the courtroom began to rise. Alicia could feel the weight of every judgment the judge made. He was dismissive, often cutting her off mid-argument, giving Marcus little chance to speak for himself. But Alicia had done her homework. She'd spent countless hours researching not just the case, but the judge himself. She had uncovered small but significant patterns of bias in his past rulings, biases that could no longer go unnoticed. Meanwhile, Marcus, though shaken by the judge's treatment, kept his composure. He knew this was bigger than just his case. It was a battle for something much greater, a stand against the prejudice that had plagued his life for years. Alicia had already gathered evidence that could discredit the judge's credibility, but using it in such a public forum was risky. If it didn't go exactly as planned, it could cost Marcus everything. Behind closed doors, Alicia reached out to colleagues who had witnessed the judge's past decisions. Slowly, a network of whispers grew, filled with stories of similar incidents where Judge Thompson had crossed lines. The question wasn't whether the judge was biased. The question was how deep his corruption ran and how far Alicia would go to expose it. But Alicia wasn't the only one who knew how precarious this situation was. Some of the court staff had begun to notice the tension. A few even starting to question the judge's authority, but none dared speak up. Alicia's plan needed to be precise, or it could all backfire. The stakes were higher than ever, and as she prepared for the next move, she knew one wrong step could destroy everything she had worked for. The days leading up to the final phase of the trial were filled with mounting pressure. Alicia knew that the evidence she had gathered, small but undeniable, was the key to bringing the judge's hidden biases into the light. But with each passing day, the risks grew. If she moved too soon, it might appear as if she was attacking the judge out of spite, and it would only undermine Marcus' case. If she waited too long, the judge might act against her before she had the chance to strike. She was walking a razor-thin line. In the courtroom, Judge Thompson's behavior grew more erratic. His remarks toward Marcus became even more pointed, and his demeanor had turned hostile. Alicia had seen enough. The moment had arrived, but she also knew the judge would never go down without a fight. What was about to unfold would expose the corruption hiding behind his calm facade, but would the court be ready for it? Alicia's heart raced as she prepared to present her final motion. She stood, cool on the outside, but her mind racing with the weight of everything that was about to happen. She locked eyes with Marcus, who gave her a subtle nod of encouragement. In that instant, she knew the outcome wasn't just about his fate. It was about something much bigger, something that could affect every person who had ever felt powerless in the system. The room seemed to hold its breath as Alicia rose to her feet. She didn't need to say much, just the right words, the right facts. As the judge's stern expression softened slightly, perhaps thinking it was just another routine objection, Alicia delivered the bombshell. She presented an anonymous tip from a former clerk who had witnessed Judge Thompson's pattern of biased decisions. And worse, the clerk had documents proving it. The evidence was undeniable, and for a moment, the courtroom felt eerily silent. The judge's face twisted in disbelief, but Alicia wasn't done. She pulled out another file. This one was even more explosive. It contained video footage of his mockery toward Marcus from earlier in the trial, a clear violation of his position. The tension in the room was palpable. Alicia had given the judge a chance to react, but she wasn't about to let him wriggle free. The air was thick with anticipation. Everyone waited for the judge's response, unsure of what would happen next. Would he try to fight back, or would he crumble under the pressure? The stakes had never been higher. As the courtroom held its breath, the judge's reaction wasn't what anyone expected. At first, he seemed genuinely stunned, his usual composure slipping. But just as Alicia thought the moment was tipping in her favor, a new figure entered the room, someone Alicia hadn't anticipated. It was the district attorney, a powerful ally of Judge Thompson, known for his unflinching support of the judiciary. The DA had been quietly observing the trial from the back, and now he stood, stepping forward with a smug smile. He didn't even glance at Alicia as he addressed the judge. "Your Honor," he said, his voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of authority, "I believe this motion is nothing more than an attempt to discredit you. I request that these allegations be dismissed immediately and that we move forward with the case." The sudden intrusion rattled Alicia. She had anticipated resistance from the judge, but the DA's involvement shifted the entire dynamic. This wasn't just about exposing a corrupt judge. It was a coordinated effort to protect the system, to prevent any cracks from showing. Alicia's heart pounded as the stakes climbed higher. She had to act fast, or everything she had fought for might. Suddenly, the room erupted. The judge tried to stand, but his knees buckled, and he sank back into his seat, stunned. The DA looked frozen, as if he couldn't believe what was happening. Alicia had turned the tables, exposing a web of corruption that went far beyond just one biased judge. But there was one last twist in the story, something neither Alicia nor the courtroom had seen coming. As the court officer began to step forward to arrest the judge and the DA, the door to the courtroom swung open. Another figure, this time from the State Bar Association, entered with a knowing smile. "This investigation was a long time coming, Miss Williams," the man said, his voice smooth and calculated, "and you've done all the heavy lifting for us." Alicia's stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" The man held up a file. "We've been watching both of them for months. Your evidence, well, it's just the final nail in the coffin." He turned to the judge, then to the DA. "You're both finished." Alicia stood frozen. She had thought she was the one pulling the strings, but it turned out someone had been watching all along. The system wasn't as broken as she had feared. In a twist she hadn't expected, the power had always been just out of her reach until now. She had helped bring down the corrupt judge and the DA, but in doing so, she had unknowingly become a part of a larger, ongoing investigation. As the judge and DA were led away in handcuffs, Alicia realized that, while she had won this battle, the war was far from over. There was always more to uncover, more corruption hiding in plain sight. But for the first time in a long while, she felt the weight of justice tip in her favor, and she was ready for whatever came next.